This course is presented to you free of charge by TTJ Tech Services of www.ttjtech.biz and by Stir It Up of www.stiritup.com. And remember, stir is spelled with a U, not an I, so that's STURITUP.com. TTJ Tech Services and Stir It Up are pleased to offer this course to you to the glory of God and to the benefit of all those who listen. Well, praise God. All right, everybody, welcome back. Voiceover in and out. If you were here Monday, you know that I used the Notes app to do the text editing, but we really weren't teaching the Notes app on Monday. We were teaching how to edit and make changes to your text, to review the text that you've written. That session will get posted this week. And of course, today's session and yesterday's session as well. But we really, I think, stressed to you on Monday how important that is, how strongly we feel about going back and reading what you've typed or dictated. It doesn't matter, and then knowing how to make those changes, fix spelling errors, select text. So we covered a lot of ground there. And today we're going to talk about the Notes app. And there are many apps that these editing and formatting principles will work in. And Notes is not the only one, right? So even in the Mail app, there is the ability to have complex formatting and edit your text in different ways. And then certainly in the Pages app, which I know that all three of us on the team, but I don't think Cliff is here yet. So I'll just say Sarah and I, but all three of us, we really, really like the Pages app. And, a lot of people are unsure about going into Pages and trying things because they've heard that it's complex and so forth. Well, in some regards, I suppose you could say that it is complex, although as Pages has matured, the accessibility has gotten even better, and it is very, very manageable. But it's a powerful app because it includes word processing and page layout type of stuff, and that's actually more than we can say for the equivalents like Microsoft Word and Google Docs and so on. It's a very, very powerful app, and it's very accessible. And so a lot of what we're going to teach you with text styles and so on, it will also apply to these other apps if you need to move into Pages. I really like Pages. I mean, I just can't say enough. I use Notes for the simpler stuff. I use Notes, when it doesn't really have to have the advanced formatting, even though you can do some great formatting in Notes, right? But it's, kind of a stepping stone in some regards, and in others, it's the perfect place to keep, your lists and different things you want to have in Notes. When I am creating messages or sermons, if you want to use the more traditional term that I preach, I use Notes. I put the Bible scriptures in there. I use line navigation while I am at the pulpit, so I just set the rotor to lines, which was a bit challenging in 18.0 and 18.1, but it works perfectly in 18.2, praise God. And so we can set the rotor to lines and we can move through our note and read what's there. And I try to put like one sentence on each line so that I don't have to have a partial thought, on each line, but that's up to you. That's personal preference. So I use it for things like that. We use, Notes are collaborative. Of course, they're synced with iCloud. I assume by now, all of you are at the place where you come to expect that with the Apple apps, I would hope, because that is such a powerful and such an important part of it, right? So they're synced with iCloud. So they're going to be on all of your devices, praise God. But you can also collaborate with Notes. And that means multiple people from multiple Apple accounts can be editing these notes in real time if you allow that. And you can share the note that way. And, we use that for our spring cleaning. Every spring, we do kind of a big spring cleaning day. It usually ends up being more than one day because if you do inside and outside and everything, there's only so much you're going to be able to do in one day. And so but it's usually a fun thing, just to have a good time, lemonade, spend some time outside, whatever. But we put these tasks and we designate them, and it's kind of become a thing now. I'm not sure how it came to exactly be this way, but usually my wife and son are on a team, and my daughter and I are on a team, and we're working together with different jobs that we have, and so we put them in as a checklist in notes. You could do this in reminders also, but we put them in a notes checklist, and then we check them off as we complete them. So you can do things like that. My daughter, especially, I guess really both the kids, but you know, um, Carson's just about to be 18. So it's a little different for him than for, a 12-year-old like my daughter. But, they use the list feature for Christmas list. And I mean, she does. Now, what's really something, I'm seeing something really incredible that's very, very touching this year about Kylie, praise God, which is that she is far more interested in what she can buy for other people than what she wants for herself. She really has not even compiled her Christmas list yet. She has maybe two or three things. And Santa is going to be at a local restaurant tonight. And I said to her, I said, you really need to have your Christmas list ready to show Santa when we take you there and we eat at this restaurant and so forth. And she said, well, I'm just going to tell him a couple things. She's really, really focused on buying gifts for her family and her friends, which I think is awesome. But when she does make the list, it is a very professional Christmas list. And by that, I mean, each item has a photo. It has a link to where you can buy it. It's got all these things. And the only thing I had to make sure I told our family was, don't check these off if you buy them for her, because then it's not going to be a surprise. She'll see that they've been purchased, because you can see what everybody's doing. She'll, collaboratively share them with the family, the grandparents, and everybody. But all of these things and more can be done in notes. Now we can have audio directly in our notes. One of the really cool things that I don't know that I'll have time to demonstrate today, we'll see. But if I don't, it is on YouTube on the iOS 18 playlist. And that is, I actually took a voice memo and I copied the transcript into a note. And then I allowed Apple Intelligence to summarize the transcript into key points. So you can use your Apple Intelligence writing tools on devices that support that. And that means you can proofread, you can have the document rewritten in a different tone. Let's say you want to make it more formal or more professional. And actually now, I couldn't talk about this before, but in 18.2, you can actually have Chat GPT do rewrites, and you can describe in your own words, make this more sentimental or make it more heartfelt or whatever you want to say, and Chat GPT will actually rewrite it. That was not a feature of 18.1, but we can, you can almost do like a prompt in there now. So we can talk about that. And then, there's so much more in notes because you can print your notes out if you need to. You can lock your notes. So if you have a sensitive note that maybe is, some kind of banking information or otherwise that you just don't want other people accessing, you can lock that note. And there are two different options you can choose to lock your notes. One is a special unique notes password. The other is just using your device security, meaning your biometric Face ID, Touch ID, and its device passcode. So that is, another way to do it. And then to view that note, you have to unlock it first, And so then it stays unlocked until you close it or your device goes to sleep. It makes a lot of sense, and it's really, really cool. You can add web links to notes. You can, as I mentioned, you can share them collaboratively, and you can also send a copy. But when you send a copy, it just really sends the text of the note in a message or an email or whatever. But sharing collaboratively, it opens in notes for the other person. And you can organize your notes into folders. We're going to show you that too. And you can even have hashtag organization too, if you want to use like the smart tags for notes. So I've got, of course, my iPhone here. All right.
Edit button. Folders, heading. Search field, dictate button.
So what do we have? We have that edit button. We're as far back as we can go. We have that edit button.
Folders, heading, edit button.
Very far left.
Edit button.
Let's look what's in there.
Done. Folders, heading. Search, dimmed, dictate, quick notes, 2 notes, more.
All right.
Button.
So really all this is it's the ability to select multiple folders down at the bottom here.
Toolbar, new, remove TTJ, remove devotion, tags, reorder more, TTJ, reorder more, reorder more, TTJ, reorder.
So you can reorder things, but let's
folders, done.
Hit
button.
Done. We're not going to worry about editing right now.
Live recognition,
okay.
Character.
Now let's swipe to the right again. We have the search.
Search, dictate, quick notes, 2 notes, button.
All right. Quick Notes is a special feature of Notes that you can quickly start, and there's different ways to do this. If you, for example, use an iPad with an Apple Pencil, you can take the pencil and do like a diagonal motion. You can create a voiceover gesture to start a quick note. You can turn voiceover off and do the diagonal swipe from the bottom right corner to the top left with one finger. You can create a quick note from other apps if you have, a website or something. That is a folder in and of itself, the Quick Notes folder. And then we are going to see the other folders that I have. The default folder that everybody gets is Notes. And again, I would recommend using iCloud. Just like with calendars and contacts and so forth, there are other accounts that support Notes, like Gmail, for example, even Xfinity from Comcast. If you have a Comcast.net email account, it will support Notes as well. But I always disable all of those. And that's nothing against any of those. I really like Xfinity and all that. But I do all that with iCloud, and I really don't have to have any of the others enabled for any reason. And so, again, that's in the settings, But if you do need some of those, then just like with the calendar, I would encourage you to make sure you know what your default Notes account is going to be so that notes created outside of the Notes app will go to the right place. Now, when you are looking at these, you'll see that I have the Notes.
Math Notes.
And Math Notes. That's another thing that we're going to, I don't know if we'll get to it today, but it's on the iOS playlist. And that's really cool because you can do some equations and they'll automatically be solved for you. We'll show you that if we have time, but
call recordings, 3 notes, button.
And there's a folder that's automatically created of call recordings. Because it's entirely possible to record a phone call or a FaceTime audio call. And when you do, it gives the other person notice that they're being recorded. If they choose to stay in the call, then they're consenting to being recorded. So it has an automated message that plays to let them know that. But then you can record that call, and then not only can you end up with an audio recording, but you also end up with a transcript of that call as well. And I could show you if I went
call recordings, Cap C, call recordings, selected, call recordings.
Let's see if there's anything I can show you here.
Call with Cliff Antonio Miller Sr., August. Head call recording, modified toolbar. Call with Kathy Volbrecht, September. Heading.
All right, so these were some call recordings that I did. Trainer Cliff and I tested that, and I could show you that if I go in there.
Call with Cliff Antonio Miller. September 20. Note. Call with Cliff Antonio Miller Sr. Call with Cliff Antonio Miller Sr., September 21st. Call with Cliff toolbar, checklist, attachments.
Now,
button,
what happens
note,
is...
Call with Cliff Antonio Miller Sr., September 21st.
If I double tap, I'll show you in a second, it's going to bring up... Okay, it says audio attachment, 1 minute, 21 seconds. Let's double tap.
Note, text field is editing. Call with Cliff Antonio Miller Sr. Call with Cliff Antonio Miller Sr. September 21st, 2024 at 1:52 a.m. Audio attachment, 1 minute 21 seconds. Button.
There's the audio
Double
attachment.
tap format. Button.
And
Checklist.
there should also
Table.
be,
Attach handwriting. Writing
let me
tied
see if
to
I can
queue.
find
Handwriting
the
attachment.
transcript.
Note.
Is it in
Care
this
words. Call with Senior
part, or
Miller
do I have to open?
Antonio.
I think I have to open that button first.
Call with Cliff Antonio. Sheet grabber. Button.
Okay, you know what a sheet grabber is? That will dismiss this, but go to the right.
Call with Cliff September 1 minute 21 seconds. More. Button. Summary. Expand. Button. Vertical summary. Expand. Button. Summary. Expand.
So if we want to expand the summary,
sheet grabber. Back button. Summary. Heading. Button. Loading.
All right, so it's loading that summary.
Loading. Cliff and Matthew discuss recording quality and the availability of the course phone call feature. They plan to test the recording quality on Cliff's phone next week.
Okay, so that's the summary of what we talked about.
Button. Summary. Back button.
Let's go back.
Play. Button.
And let's play a little bit of it for you.
Pause.
Oh, that's nice.
Sheet
Yeah.
grabber.
Now, is that something that plays that so I guess they do that so people can't just record somebody without their permission?
Without their permission, that's right. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to test that because I thought I didn't think about it until I realized that I was on my iPad and saying, maybe this is just a feature that's available.
And we can pause that. So that's really good recording quality, as you can see. And you can skip ahead. You can read the transcript here.
Matthew, okay. Matthew Grayson Volbrecht, okay. YouTube, bye-bye, button.
If you go back.
Matthew, all right. Have a good work, bye-bye, button. Cliff Antonio Miller Sr.
That's Cliff
button.
saying that. We can go here.
Matthew Grayson, okay, all right, yep. That sounds good, button.
See, you can read what each, and it even knows who said what in the phone call. So we will
Dynamic Island. Call with sheet grabber.
Use the sheet grabber to get out of that.
Call recordings. Back button. Call recording. Call
If,
with Cliff and call with cap folders.
Go back to the folders list there. If I'm being honest, I wasn't planning on showing you that, but when I ran into that, I thought, yeah, we really should, because it's a powerful, and you can see how well it works. I mean, the summary, all of this stuff, it's just incredible. Leaps and bounds, guys, you know? So now we have these initial folders of quick notes and audio call recordings and math notes. But then if we
call record shared 178 notes button.
If we choose that, we can see all the notes that we've shared or that have been shared with us. And now
iCloud button heading.
This is expanded. It's our own list of iCloud notes folders now.
All iCloud 1,996 notes.
That's going to be like everything.
Notes 775 notes.
That's the notes folder itself. And a lot of those I should really move to other folders, because when I started using the Notes app, I don't think we had folders at that time, so everything went in there. So for a lot of years, that's what I did. But now I have other folders if we keep going.
2022 TTJ info, Betty. Shared with Betty Kaler, 4 notes, blah blah, 40 question, devotionals, 740 notes, Faith School, 6 notes, Faith Summit 2023, 5 notes, Faith Summit 2024, 2 notes, family notes, shared with Jessica Volbrecht and 2 others, 30.
And you get the idea. Some of these are shared, and, again, because remember, we can collaborate. And you can share not only an individual note, but you can share an entire notes list or notes folder. And so that's what we've done here in a couple of cases. We have a TTJ team folder that our team shares, when we want to discuss different proposed outlines for the courses or otherwise, and all of these things. And I have an actual TTJ folder that's just mine that I use, for other business purposes and so on. So any of these that we go in, then we can easily create a note inside that folder. But also, we can create a new folder at the bottom of the screen.
Toolbar, new note, button.
And just to the left.
New folder, button.
See, so new note is at the bottom right. Just to its left is new folder when you're in the list of folders like this. And so we could easily create a new folder. You could even create a subfolder inside of a folder. And then, of course, what I can also show you is that there are actions for these folders. If, for example, we tap on
Faith Summit 2024.
Now, if we use the rotor or if we long press,
Share folder button. Share preview 2 notes. Share folder button.
so again, we can collaboratively share that folder.
Move button. Rename button. Delete. Dismiss context menu.
Rename,
button.
delete, those kinds of things. All right. So let's open a folder now. Let's go to the TTJ folder.
Devote page at TTJ team. Tag TTJ.
Oh, and by the way,
notes,
the tags.
TT tags button. Heading. All tags. Devotional. TTJ. Toolbar.
So that's another way to organize your notes by putting a hashtag and then a tag name there, and or choosing a hashtag. Now again, let's look at. You saw that the
devotional button. All tags. TTJ team shared with Clifton Miller. TTJ 240 notes. 1 subfolder.
You heard that it has a subfolder. Let's open this folder up, and I'll create a new note.
Selected. TTJ 240 notes.
Okay, so we're inside of that folder now. If you look at the top,
folders, back button, share button.
There's that share button if I want to share this folder.
Folder actions.
And
button.
here's some folder actions.
View as gallery. Share folder. Add folder. Button. Move this folder. Rename. Button. Select notes. But sort by. Default. Group by date.
Wait.
Sort by. Default. Date edited. Group by date. Default on. View attachments. Button. Convert to smart folder. Button. Dismiss context menu.
Again, I don't, I'm not going to go into all of those for the sake of time. A lot of them I think are probably pretty self-explanatory by now, especially as you've begun to learn the language that Apple uses for things. A lot of that probably makes sense to you. If you need a further, insight into it, I recommend the user guide for your particular device, or just do a Google search with Apple support, and then, of course, come to our help sessions and ask us questions too, or even today, ask questions, and we'll do the best we can to answer them. But I did want to show you that you have that folder actions button. And again, the notes in this folder have context actions as well. So if I pick a note here.
John announcement, class test, modified Monday. This is a demonstration of the Notes app. Let's keep typing.
That was a class test that we did. Okay. And you can use the double tap gesture to open this note. You can use the rotor on this note, or we can long press and see the actions that way.
Pin note button. Pin note button.
What does pin note mean? It means that the note is always going to stay at the top of the list. You might remember that from messages when you could pin conversations. Well, similarly, you can pin notes to the top of the list.
Lock note button.
There's that lock option we talked about.
Share note button. Move button. Delete button. Dismiss context menu button.
And notice when you choose share note.
Share note. Share. Dismiss context menu. Class test.
You have at the top the same option we had in the Files app yesterday.
Close button. Send copy button.
You have the button to toggle between send copy, or to change between send copy and collaborate. So if I want to collaborate, I double tap on this send copy button.
Collaborate button.
And I choose collaborate, see?
Selected. Send copy. Dismiss context menu.
So
selected. Send collaborate button.
Okay. Now it's changed.
Close button. Collaborate button. Only invited people can edit.
And we can change that.
Forward,
we can change that. That's a button. Listen again.
Only invited people can edit. Forward button.
See, that's a button. And so if you don't want that, if you want to make this a public note with a link, if you want to make it so that only you can edit, there's different options there. And then you're going to see your share sheet of who you're going to collaborate with.
Carson Vault, Mom, Cliff.
And it has different people and suggestions, and then further down,
Messages, AirDrop, Messages, Mail, Reminders, Journal, Freeform, Facebook, Amazon, Instacart, ChatGPT, Lyft. Invite with link, more, button, copy, open in Pages, button.
Open in Pages, so you can take a note and then bring it into Pages to continue working on it.
Markup, print button, find products on Sam's Club, describe with Be My Eye, search products on Walmart, search on Google, find products on Amazon, edit action.
We'll scrub out of that. You heard that you can print, you can mark up this note. I think I have two options for print there. That's because one uses Apple AirPrint and one uses the Canon print app that I have with my actual printer, so I can use either or. But this is, some of this is the menu of notes actions. Again, you get that by long pressing on a note. A lot of those are going to be in the rotor as well, but I always prefer the long press option whenever possible. And of course, if we want to open one of these notes, we just double tap on it. But I also can go down to the bottom here.
Toolbar, 240 notes, one folder.
That's telling me the status of what's in this folder. And to the right,
New note button.
At the bottom right,
Double tap to compose a new note.
We can compose a brand new note, which is what I'm going to do right now.
New note, text field is editing, word mode, insertion point at start.
Now,
actions available. Use the rotor to access misspelled words.
Actions available. What do we have? Let's take a look.
Add link. Activate default.
Add link. So you can actually add a link to a website. You can add a link to another note. So that's available right from the get-go. Now, the first line of text that you type by default is going to appear as the title of the note. And you can change that in your settings, but it's going to become the title. And so we'll call this another test.
Cap-A-O-T-E space another. Cap-T-A-R.
And then press a couple of returns.
New line.
You remember me talking about that the other day, right? Now, I want to introduce you to something called paragraph styles or text styles. I mentioned to you on Monday that, it's really important when we're working with people and so forth that we not only have properly, grammatical and spelling, fix all those errors, but also we want to make things eye-catching because people's eyes are going to go to the places that attract their attention, and unless they're deliberately sitting down to read a novel or something, they want to be able to do this in 2 minutes real quick, right? On the train, at the coffee shop, in between things. And they may not want the whole story right now. They may just want the really important stuff, right? And then they'll go back later if they want to and they'll read it. But what we need to do is know how to get people's attention with proper formatting. And so we're going to talk about bold and italics and so forth. But one of the really nice things that these apps offer is paragraph styles. You have them in notes, you have them in pages. I don't remember now. I want to say they're not in Mail, but maybe they are. I'll find out soon because I'll check, and then we're going to be teaching Mail next week anyway. But the thing is that these paragraph styles are it's a little more complex than this, but basically they're kind of collections of attribute changes, like maybe bold and a font size increase, right? So it's a larger font and it's bold, So you have, for example, what's called a title style.
Empty.
And that is going to automatically be this first line of text. If I go back,
return, lines.
Let's set the rotor to words. And swipe up.
Test.
Now, if I...
Bottom of screen, notes.
Is that going to work?
Bottom of screen,
no,
notes.
It's not.
Test.
Let's do this.
Character, new line.
Characters.
New line.
And let's type a little more. We are conducting a test of the Notes app.
Period. New line.
Okay, now I should be able.
Words. Line. We are conducting a test of the Notes app. New line. Another test. Title. 28 point. Bold. System font regular.
Okay.
Indentation level 0.
There you go. VoiceOver does an excellent job, praise God, of telling you about attribute changes, and you heard it say the word title, because the title style is automatically applied to the first line of text in a note by default, unless you change that setting. And it even went so far as to describe what that is for you. It's 28 point, pretty big for a font size there, bold, and it also told us that it's a natural indentation level 0, so it's not indented. Now, if we go down...
Another test. We are conducting a test of the Notes app.
Now, let's go to words here.
We are conducting a word test. Test. We. Body. 17 point. Not bold. System font regular.
So you can hear when it changes there, and it tells us it's not bold, it's body text. That's the body paragraph style. And 17 point is actually pretty large. Like if you were creating a professional document, you wouldn't make it 17 point. You'd probably make it about 10 or 11 point, maybe 12. Pages, I think, defaults to 11. But, this is bigger because it's a note, but still it's smaller than the 28 point that is the title style. So what we're going to show you then is how do we apply these, or how do we do manual formatting if we want to do bold and stuff like that. So let's create. We have a sentence here. We are conducting
a test of the app period.
Of the Notes app.
Characters.
Now I have
new line.
I have 2 blank lines there.
Hey, period. New line.
No, I don't.
New line.
Now I do. I have 2 blank lines there. And let's say what we will test. That's going to be a heading. All right, so let's call
colon test. New line.
2 blank lines. What we will test. And I've put 2 blank lines after it. Remember, that's always a good idea. Okay, what we will test needs to be a heading. It needs to stand out a little bit. So the first thing we're going to do is select that text. If you don't know how to do that, you'll be able to listen back soon to Monday's recording where we taught that. But I'm going to do it right now.
Words.
Go here.
What?
And text selection.
Lines. Text selection. Word selection.
Word selection.
What we will test. Selected.
All right, they're all selected. I'm going to turn the rotor away from text selection because I don't want to do that now.
Lines.
Now, I can use the edit rotor to do certain things like set bold, set italic, those kinds of things. But I'm actually going to use the swiping gesture instead of the rotor, and I'm going to go up above the on-screen keyboard here.
Note, December 11, done, button.
Swipe left.
More, share, redo, undo, TTJ, back button.
I guess it's to the right, not to the left.
Note, format, button.
Yep, there it is.
Double tap to choose a style to apply to text.
That's exactly what we're going to do. Double tap that format button.
Format. TTJ, back button.
All right, let's look at what we can do. I'll touch the middle of the screen.
Note, empty line.
And I have to touch a little lower.
December, note, format.
Swipe to the right.
Close button.
There's the close button for the format popover.
Title.
There's title. That's the title style. That's not what we want for this phrase.
Heading.
There's heading. That is what we want for this phrase.
Subheading.
Subheading.
Selected. Body.
Look, there's body. That's what's selected right now.
Mono-styled.
Okay.
Bold text.
Here we can do some manual formatting. Bold.
Italicized text. Underline text. Strike through text. Toggle highlight.
You can even highlight this with a color.
Select highlight color. Button. Bullet list. Dashed list. Numbered list. Outdent text. Button. Indent text. Button. Block quote. Block.
So there's a lot of options there. Bulleted list, numbered list. So what I want to do first is apply the heading style.
And toggle stripe. Bold mod. Select subheading. Heading. Selected. Heading.
Now again, I could have done manual. I could have made this bold myself and stuff like that. But there's not a real choice in the Notes app about font size manually. Now in Pages there is. You can pick, whatever font size, but that's not really how Notes works. It's a little simpler than that. But when I do a heading style, it may change the font size a little bit. Praise God. I'm also going to apply a color.
Selected. Italicized. Underline text.
Oh, notice, folks.
It's selected. Bold text.
It already selected bold for us now that we've applied that heading paragraph style.
It underline strike through toggle highlight.
Okay.
Select highlight color button.
What highlight?
Button.
Let's do this.
Purple, pink, orange, mint, blue. Dismiss context menu.
Purple, pink, orange, mint, and blue. Let's do pink.
Orange, pink, button.
All right.
Note, format, club title, select sub body, mono, selected, bold, italic, underlined, strike through, selected, toggle highlight.
And notice that highlight is selected now because we picked a color. So let's go over to the left and close this.
It's subheading, subtitle, close, button, close.
Now, the first
Format.
thing you want to do is deselect the text that you've selected so you don't accidentally type over it or something, do something else. So I'm going to touch the return key
Return.
and swipe down with one
Use
finger.
what we will test. Unselected.
Okay, and it deselected it now. Praise God. Now let's go to words.
Words. Test colon.
And let's swipe up a few.
Note. We add link.
Oop.
Word the Notes app. SysB. Notes. App period.
I'm swiping down now.
What? Heading. Emphasis pink. 22 point. Bold. System font regular.
Did you hear all that? That was great. Praise God. It told us it was a heading. It told us it had emphasis pink. It said that it was bold, 22 point. So it is a little bit bigger than the 17 points of the regular body text. So that's how you make some formatting changes and apply different formatting options.
We will test colon.
Go to
Characters. New line. Dark gray. New line. 17 point. Not bold. System font regular.
now we're back to body text, but I'm going to now create a bulleted list. So let's go back to format.
Format. Button. Format. TTJ. Note. Format. Type head sub bold italics understroke select bulleted list selected bulleted list.
Now I can go over to close, or I can just scrub out of this with two fingers. And
Format.
what we will test. Okay, let's test typing
Cap T bullet P-I-N-G typing T-E-X-T
text, and then press return.
new line tab bullet new list item.
It's putting another new list item. See how that works? And we will test formatting.
Cap F bullet O-R M-A-T-I-N-G
And return.
new line bullet new list item.
And let's just say other features.
Bullet capital T-A-R E-Enters S.
And now I'm going to press two returns to exit out of this bulleted list.
Return new body at bullet new list
And
item.
you heard it say body, exited list, and it interrupted itself because there was a bulleted, but that's okay. We're out of the bullet. So let's go back and read this now by line.
Note, text for character word line, new line. What we will test, heading, emphasis pink, 22 point, bold, system font regular, indentation level 0. List item bullet. 17 point, dark gray, not bold, system font regular. Typing text, left justified, entered list. List item bullet, space, formatting. List item bullet, space, other features.
And if we use words,
Words.
or actually characters,
New line. Exited list. New line.
we can see now that natural alignment, we've exited the list. And so that's another great feature. We also can do checklists. Now, I am I think I've made it very clear that I like to do my grocery lists in reminders. But if you wanted to make a quick grocery list here, you certainly could, or other types of things that maybe are not groceries, that, tasks that you need to complete. As I said, our spring cleaning list, we do that. I'm going to just use groceries because it's super easy. So let's find the checklist option. It is not in the format menu. It's its own button.
Collapse what we will format button.
Oh,
Double tap to choose format.
that's something I should tell you a little about too.
Collapse what we will test button.
Did you hear that? You can actually collapse sections of your note if you want to. So I could actually collapse that entire heading of what we will test. I just point that out. Again, we won't go into tremendous detail about that, but it is available. It's a cool feature.
Format.
So there's
button.
format.
Checklist. Off.
There's checklist.
Table. Button. Attachments. Button. Handwriting. Button. Writing tools. Button.
Look at all those options. We got to talk about some of them yet. But let's start out with a checklist.
Table. Checklist. Off. Button. Checklist. On.
And let's just type some grocery items.
M-I-L-K. Checklist. New list item. Cap B-E-E-N-D. Bread. Checklist. New cap C. Cap C-I-S-K-E-N.
Milk, bread, chicken,
Cap O-F-A.
soda,
Soda. C-O-K-I-E-S.
and cookies. And I think if I do two returns, it'll turn that off too.
Return. Body. Checklist. New list
There we
item.
go. So now let's look at our note.
Note. Text field.
And we can swipe to the right of the edit field.
Incomplete. Checklist item. Milk. Button. Incomplete. Checklist item. Bread. incomplete. Checklist item, chicken, incomplete. Checklist item, soda, incomplete. Checklist item, cookies,
Right?
button.
There are 5 checklist items. It says actions available. Let's look at the actions.
Checklist items, actions, edit checklist item, activate, default.
So you can edit the checklist item if you need to change it, but also in the rotor is a feature called checklist items.
Checklist items.
So you can swipe up and down with one finger to move between the checklist items. Now, if I check these off,
Action,
like
incomplete. Checklist item, milk, button.
you remember that milk is at the
Swipe up or down to select.
top of the list, but there's an option in your notes settings that says that you sort checklist items either manually or automatically. And when you set it to automatic, what that's going to do is it's automatically going to move the checked items to the bottom of the list. So you know that milk is at the top right now, but if we check it off,
Completed. Checklist item.
now look,
Incomplete. In collapse what we will test. But incomplete. Checklist item. Bread. Incomplete. Checklist item. Chicken.
notice
button.
that bread is now at the top,
Completed. Checklist item. Milk. Button.
and you notice that milk is now at the very bottom of the list because we've actually turned that off. If you go in your rotor,
Checklist item. Edit. Undo. Writing tools. Undo. Writing tools.
and I think you have to have the focus on
Return.
the keyboard.
Checklist items. Misspelled words. Edit. Select. Paste. Select all. Writing tools. Undo. Mark as checked. Remove checklist item. Check all items. Uncheck all items. Delete all checked items.
Look at all that. So
Set bold.
so
Delete
we
all
can
uncheck
we can
all
do all of those kinds of things too. We can check all items. We can, all those kinds of things that you'd expect to see in a good checklist app. All right, another thing we will show you
misspelled words. Checklist items. Characters.
is the
Writing tool. Hide. Handwriting. Attach table. Checklist table.
we're not going to get into the table today. That's accessible. You can do tables. But I want to show you the attachment options here.
Attachments. Button.
We can insert into our
Double
note.
tap. Attach file. Button.
So we can attach a file, say from iCloud Drive, for example.
Attach record audio. Button.
We can record audio directly into this note.
Image playground. Button.
We can use Image Playground to create an image based on words that we type.
Choose photo or video. Button.
We can choose a photo or video from our library.
Take photo or video.
We can
Button.
take a photo or video with our camera.
Scan documents. Button.
We can scan a document.
Scan text.
And we can
Button.
scan text. What's the difference? Scan document will actually scan this as an image, whereas scan text will use OCR so that the text is editable, searchable, and everything else.
Milkshake. Milky.
Okay, and it's trying to come up with suggestions based on the word milk.
Milked.
All right, so that's the attachment list.
Q.
Let's
Dismiss context menu. Button.
do that. That shows you that we can easily attach these different things to our notes. And by the way, Image Playground, that's already up on YouTube as well. Plus, we'll talk about it tomorrow. But we do have a tutorial on Image Playground. Now, let's see. Excuse me. We want to
income format checklist table attachments but
something else I wanted to show you. I think it was
handwriting button.
the handwriting option.
Double tap to toggle the ink picker.
The ink picker. So this is not, maybe a lot of folks who are purely voiceover users will say this, doesn't really apply to me, but maybe we have some sighted folks or some voiceover users who just enjoy drawing or something. This is especially useful on an iPad with an Apple Pencil, but you can go into here and you can pick your color, your writing tool.
Note, collapse, selected, pen, color, black 0, opacity, 100%. Button.
So we can change the tool.
Monoline, marker, eraser, lasso, generation tool, ruler, pencil, crayon, fountain pen, watercolor, selected, color.
And then we can use the color picker.
Watercolor, add, button, selected, color picker, current color, black, button, add, button, add, button.
All right, so we're going to dismiss that.
Folder to Titanic.
But that, again, is another option that we have. And actually, I got out of the note, but that's okay. All right, so then the other feature that we have now is we have the writing tools option, which is, of course, an Apple Intelligence feature. And I demonstrate that in the YouTube video on that feature. But, you know, essentially, I could even use it here.
In collapse tool attachment handwriting writing tools button write note sheet grabber button writing tools heading close button text field describe your change.
So that's new. We didn't really have we couldn't really demonstrate that in the video because I had done it in 18.1, but that's where you can, remember I said you can kind of give it your own prompt, like sentimental or whatever. But then if you go to the right,
submit button proofread button.
Okay, so we can proofread this for errors.
Rewrite button.
We can rewrite this, and then we can also summarize it. So let's look at the rewrite.
Friendly, professional, concise button.
All right.
Summary.
Let's say I want to make this professional.
Professional button. Show original text button.
So we can show the original. Let's see what
Start of text. Another test. Another test. We are conducting a test of the notes application. The test will evaluate the following features: bullet, typing text, formatting completed, checklist button, checklist completed, other functionality selected.
Okay.
List is set note, text field is editing, another test. We are conducting a test of the notes application. The test will evaluate the following features: typing text, formatting, other functionality selected.
Now,
Swipe up or
you notice that this has changed some things. Where I said app, it says application. It said the word evaluate. We didn't have any. So you can see how this works. And this wasn't, you know, the best document in the world to test that with because it wasn't, you know, it was very brief and just, you know, we did a little more extensive of that in the demonstration on YouTube. But I wanted to point that out to you because it is there and it works well.
Collapse the test will evaluate completed. Checklist item. Other functionality. Collect note December. Done. Button.
Let's hit done.
Done.
And I also mentioned to you, now that has changed that because I allowed it to by hitting done. We could have reverted to the original. I didn't have to accept that. But
note. Another
thing I want to do is go here.
Add link. Activate. Default.
All right, let's see.
Characters.
Back to the beginning.
Insertion point at start. Words. Another. Test. Cap. New line. Cap double.
All right, right before that, that first word of we, I'm going to go touch the edit field.
Attachments. Table. Checklist. List item. Done. Didn't complete note. Text field.
Set the rotor.
Checklist actions.
To actions.
Add link.
And we're going to say add link.
Cancel. Text field is editing. Enter a URL or no title. Insertion point at start.
Okay. Enter a URL or a note title. And again, that's great because I could link to another note or I can link to a website.
Name. Heading.
I can.
Optional. Text field.
I can also put a name on that link. And if I had selected text, I might be able. Let's just.
Text field is editing. Enter
Let's link to TTJ.
T link suggestions available. PS.
I'm not going to get the
slash
suggestions yet.
Slash www space.
There we go.
Period. Slash TTJ tech. Period. V.
Whoops.
V. I.
I think it may have auto-corrected something. I gotta.
Or period tech.
Oh yeah.
Cap double pair T E C pair B I Z
Okay.
I B pair H C E T T T J.
Had to add the TTJ back on there. All right, so let's look here.
Link to heading text field is editing. https://www.ttjtech.biz. Character name heading optional text field. Insertion point at end.
Put a name there.
Cap J space TTJ H space tech. Cap EOC VIOS.
Now what I'm gonna do
return
is let's go.
Text services. Key name close. HTTPS link to head done button.
Done.
Done. Note. Text field. Note. Text field is editing. Another test. TTJ text services link. We are conducting a test of the notes.
Look at that. There's a link there. And if I set my rotor.
Complete note. Tech checklist items. Actions.
Well, I might have to.
Done button.
Let's hit done to actually get out of this.
Done. TTJ.
Now, when you hit done, you're not out of the note. You're just out of the edit mode. You're in kind of a reader or review mode. I can read the note.
Note, another test. TTJ Tech Services, link. We are conducting a test of the Notes application.
But I don't have a keyboard up on the screen because I've hit done. I can double tap on this if I want to bring the keyboard back. But I just wanted to show you
checklist items, actions, links.
That if I go to links in the rotor and I swipe down,
TTJ Tech Services, link.
And I double tap,
TTJ Safari.
It's taking me to my
page loaded, home, visited, services, shopping assistance, link.
See that? It took me right to my website, and that link worked perfectly, praise God. Now, if I quickly want to jump back to notes, probably two ways, well, more than two ways, but
return to notes button.
Up on the status bar is a return to notes button. I can double tap on that. I could use a 4-finger swipe to the right. Let's just double tap on return to notes.
Return 3 notes node.
Okay, and we're right back where we need to be. So
share.
That is your, and you know the share button allows you to collaborate. The more button. Look what's under there.
Scan, pen, block, find a note, move note, math results, suggest results, recent notes, button, lines and grids, attachment view, delete, dismiss context menu.
Okay, so lots of options that you can look through. You know, lock your note, pin the note, all those sorts of things. We can probably do a math test here.
Note, another test. Note, text field, insertion point at end.
Yeah.
Insertion point.
Let's
insertion
see
point at end.
if I remember how to do this.
New line.
Haven't done it in a little while. Let's say 25 miles.
2, 5, spam, O-L,
Whoops.
O-I-L-E-S,
Miles
to
kilometers. And I think I have to put an equal sign.
0.
Maybe.
Delete 0.
I think.
Quotation mark. Quote at ampersand. Quote 0.
Where is my equals on another
symbols.
keyboard?
Bullet.
Yeah.
Bullet equals computed result 40.234 kilometers.
And there you go. We just did a math result. That's awesome. Praise God. So we did 25 miles to kilometers. It computed result. I can press return.
Return. Committed 40.234 kilometers.
Now it's committed, meaning it's there in the notes. So you can do those kinds of things. You can do, you know, I could do something like this. Let's say we went out for dinner and then went bowling. So
return new line.
Let's say
vertical line.
Whoops.
Vertical line. Cap D-I-N-N-E-R space dinner.
Dinner equals
plus bullet equals.
And I think
space,
I do
equals letters.
How do I do this? I think I do
numbers.
Dollar sign.
Right paren. Right dollar sign.
Let's say dinner was $40.
440. Period, slash, period, 0, space,
dinner
0,
was $40 and
A-N-D, space,
bowling,
cap B-O-W-L-I-N-G, space, bowling, bullet, equals,
bowling equals,
space, equals, numbers, dollar sign.
Let's say that was $30.
330 slash,
Whoops.
slash, period, 30, 0.
So now I press return.
New line, 0.00.
And I say dinner.
Cap D-I-N-N-E-R, space, dinner.
Plus.
Yens, pounds, euro, stock, equal, plus.
Dinner plus.
Space, plus, cap B.
Bowling.
O-W-L-I-N-G, space, bowling, plus, equals, computed result, $70.
There you go, and press return.
Committed $70.
Okay, there's a math note right there. That's really, really cool. And of course, you could be, you know, far more extensive, I suppose, about such things. But that's another example of how we can use the Notes app. Some of the really powerful things that we can do here. I mentioned to you that we can do an audio recording and bring it in, and we actually have enough time that I think what I might do is I might play the recording that I have, because I think it was about a 15-minute recording or so. I'll take a quick look, but I think I'll play that for you. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. And the other thing I want to say is that there's another really cool sort of notes on steroids app called Freeform that comes with your iPhone, and it is based on these blank canvases called boards that you can add text boxes and images and all sorts of things to as well. We teach that in the iPad class. We are not going to really have time to teach it here in the iPhone class, but I want to acknowledge it because it's very good. It works great with VoiceOver, and you would do well to learn it. So our lack of including it is not because it's not good. It is great, and we like it. But we just have to prioritize sometimes, and you have the skills now to understand how to use these and explore these different apps. We have not really taught you about text boxes. We definitely do in the iPad course because you need text boxes for Keynote and for some Pages templates and other things like that. So you will learn about those if you take our spring iPad course.
Transcripts and summaries in iOS 18. Several apps now support automatically generated transcripts. You can, for example, receive a transcript of a recorded phone call when the call is complete. In today's demonstration, we're going to do something that I think is really exciting. We will show you how to access and copy the transcript from a voice memo, paste it in your notes, and then automatically, using Apple Intelligence, generate a written summary of the key points of that note. I will be making a recording right now, and one of the topics I have been quite fascinated with throughout my life is the Titanic. And some of you may know that I have written a book about the Titanic, and so we're going to pretend right now that we are offering a Titanic class. Now, of course, we do offer a Titanic session every spring. You can look forward to that, praise God. But we're going to pretend now, just pretend that we're actually teaching a full class on the Titanic. And I would like to go into my Voice Memos app.
Voice memos.
And I'm going to hit record.
Record button.
So that I might
Speech off.
pretend I'm teaching this class. Well, students, good afternoon. We are so glad to have you here. And as you know, I'll be your instructor for this class on the RMS Titanic. Now, throughout this class, we're going to be spending a lot of time talking about the backstory of the Titanic. It is so important to understand the factors that contributed to the Titanic being built in the first place, because if you look at the Titanic, you are tempted to ask, why would someone build such a large ship which drastically dwarfed anything that had been built prior to it? You might also ask, why would people design a ship with such an elegant first-class section, but then a very utilitarian third-class section? And there are so many factors in the world that led to this. Also, why would people believe that a ship was unsinkable? What are the factors that contributed to that? Because you're going to find out that throughout history, if we frame history in various periods, you're going to see a number of factors, a number of events and situations throughout history that truly led up to this moment. And this was the culmination of decades or even centuries of hardship and struggle, and then victory over some of that hardship and struggle. And we get to a place in history where it appears to us that nature can always be conquered through machinery. And of course, we now know that not to be the case. But that was where things were. And we're going to discuss in detail some of those events and how people's mindset got to that point. We are then going to take a look at the Titanic from a practical standpoint. We're going to discuss the way that the ship was constructed and many of the features it has. I know some of you have questions about, did it really have elevators and a swimming pool and restaurants? Well, yes, it did, but we're going to discuss all those things in greater detail. And then we're going to talk about some of the myths that people had, and we're going to dispel those myths once and for all. For example, Was the Titanic really considered unsinkable? I'm not going to tell you the answer to that today, but you're going to learn that in this course. One of the things, was the Titanic actually considered? Did intelligent people really believe that a ship like Titanic could not sink? Another one, were the third class folks really kept down below until it was too late for them to escape the ship? Is that really something that happened, or has that been over dramatized, throughout the decades since? We're going to discuss a number of other things. That would more Titanic passengers have survived if, in fact, there had been more lifeboats? We know about a lifeboat shortage. How much of a contributing factor was that? What about the Californian? Because a lot of people wonder about that second ship, the Californian. Why did it not come to Titanic's aid right away? We're going to discuss the lives of these people. It's so important for us to remember that the Titanic is not just a list of facts and numbers and figures and passenger names, but each and every one of these over 2,200 passengers and crew members all had individual lives, individual families, in many cases, individual dreams and hopes and reasons for traveling. They were real people, real humans, and their lives, in one way or another, were forever changed on April the 14th, 1912. And then, of course, we'll be finally talking about the rediscovery of the Titanic. And we're going to be talking about everything that has been found and what we have learned since then. And we're also going to talk about the impact of Titanic on society and culture and whether or not something like this could ever happen again. And let's not forget about the more recent implosion of the Ocean Gate Titan that went down to do an expedition dive to the Titanic, and in a chilling, almost eerily so, set of circumstances, ended up being destroyed at the bottom of the ocean and coming to rest right by the very ship that it was diving down to visit. So we're going to talk about all of this. I look forward to working with you all in this course, and I hope you enjoy it. And I'm so glad to have all of you attending.
Speech on.
Well, I meant to do the two-finger magic tap first, so we didn't have speech on in the recording, and I did it backwards, but that's okay, praise God. I could edit that out if I really wanted to, but that's all right. We're not going to do that. Now, here's what we're going to do. We will play this a little bit for you to show you that we have indeed recorded this, and
Dictate. New record 2:14. Transcription available.
you can hear that it says transcription
Actions available.
available. Now,
Favorite. Delete. Move to folder. More actions. Edit title. Activate.
right, those are my rotor actions. I want to rename this.
New recording 2. Text field. A text field is edit delete.
Let's delete this. Let's call this Titanic. And actually, I should put a hyphen and say
Titanic
AI.
Return.
We'll do Apple Intelligence.
Titanic AI.
Okay.
Text field.
Now, the next thing we're going to do, we know there's a transcript available. I want to show you how to view and copy that. If you go to the right,
2:14.
let's play this first.
More track edit rewind.
Because I did tell you
edit recorded play.
we were going to show you that.
Play but.
Well, students, good afternoon. We are so glad to have you here. And as you know, I'll be your instructor.
Okay, there you go. So you know that works. Now, praise God. What we want to do, I'm going to show you that you can view this transcript under the More Actions button. So swipe to the left if you're on the play button like I am.
Rewind, edit, recorded, track position, more actions.
More actions.
Voice memos.
Now look at these things.
Edit recording, share, button, edit recording, options, view transcript, button.
So if I want to see the written transcript right here, right now, I can absolutely do that. I don't, however, I want to copy that thing.
Copy transcript, button.
And just to the right and double tap. Okay. Excuse me. We're now
Smart homes.
going to launch notes. Launch notes. And I'm going to, in my
Note, more, note, hop back button,
TTJ folder,
folders, share, folder actions, TTJ, toolbar, new note,
compose a new note.
new note, text field, is editing,
And I will call it Titanic.
T-A-N-I-C, new line,
Okay, and now I'm going to paste my transcript.
misspelled words, edit, select, scan, select, paste. Well, students, good afternoon. We are so glad to have you here, and as you know, I'll be your instructor for this class on the RMS Titanic. Now throughout this class we're going to be spending a lot of time talking about the backstory of the Titanic. It is so important to understand the factors that contributed to the Titanic being built in the first place, because if you look at the Titanic, you are tempted to ask why would someone build such a large ship which drastically dwarfed anything that had been built prior to it?
So when I talked, you'll notice that I didn't really go out of my way to be overly, I mean, it was professional, as you might hear a teacher do. It was organized, but I didn't go out of my way to make sure that I was completely 100% grammatical all the time and anything. You know, it was a little bit more casual than that, but we're going to still see how powerful this Apple Intelligence is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the top of this.
Dynamic table checklist for vertical note text field is at insertion point at start.
And we are going to look for our Apple Intelligence options, particularly the writing tools. If I swipe to the right.
Vertical format, checklist, table, attachments, handwriting, writing tools, button.
You can hear the writing tools.
Double tap to open the writing tools popover.
Option.
Writing tools.
We've now opened the writing tools pop over, and let's listen to what we have. And some of these we have already demonstrated, like proofread.
Proofread, button, rewrite, friendly, professional, concise, summary, key points.
We're going to do a summary. You can do key points,
list, button, table, button, compose.
So I'm going to do
key points, button.
The key points, and let's see what happens.
Copy, dimmed, button. News.
And I've got a notification that popped up there.
Notification.
All right, let's see.
Copy, done, button.
There's done.
Copy, button.
We can copy this thing.
Replace, button.
Let's listen now.
Share, Titanic. Bullet, class focus. Understanding the historical context that led to the construction of the Titanic, including the factors that contributed to its size, design, and the belief in its unsinkability. Bullet, Titanic features, exploring the practical aspects of the Titanic, including its construction, amenities, and features. Bullet, myth dispelling, addressing and debunking common myths surrounding the Titanic. Bullet, Titanic's unsinkability, examining the belief that the Titanic was unsinkable and the factors contributing to this belief. Bullet, third-class passengers and escape, investigating the treatment of third-class passengers during the sinking and whether they were hindered in escaping. Bullet, lifeboat shortage and survival rates, analyzing the impact of the lifeboat shortage on the survival rates of Titanic passengers.
Okay.
Thumbs up button.
I'm extremely impressed by this, right? I think this is absolutely phenomenal, and I assume you do too, because what we've done is we have recorded as if we were really participating in a class, and we might be, recording what the professor or the teacher says or what have you. We've then taken that transcript that got auto-generated and pasted it into a note, and then that note, now we allowed the Apple Intelligence writing tools to create a summary, an automatic summary, and we could have done table or different things, but we chose the key points. And by doing that, we have created for ourselves a complete summary of what was taught in the class. I think this is something to be very, very highly impressed about. Praise God, what a blessing. I hope you've enjoyed it, and now you know how to do it. So we'll see you then, and take care, everybody.
Thanks for joining today's session. Didn't get your question answered? Have an additional comment or feedback? Email us info@ttjtech.biz or info@stiritup.com. And remember, stir is spelled with a U. That's STURITUP.com. Or check out our websites for additional resources. That's ttjtech.biz or stiritup.com. And remember, subscribe to the newsletter when you're there. That way, you don't miss out on any upcoming announcements or events. Thanks for joining us. God bless, and see you next time.